As you may have saw in my previous post, I have synthesized my research using a framework that Alexander uses in his 2006 book titled Toward Dialogic Teaching, Rethinking Classroom Talk. This framework consists of 5 principles: purposeful talk, supportive talk, collective talk, reciprocal talk, and cumulative talk. Through my research, I have found that each of these principles directly correlate with Camborne's conditions of learning, providing space for student engagement where they can further develop their learning. As my research progressed, so did my initial inquiry, landing me with the question of, how does classroom talk inform our formative assessment while engaging students? So as you see, as I move through this, I have a visual that I used to help understand classroom talk through my research. Alexander stressed the importance of educators being purposeful when creating an environment that supports classroom talk. As you see in this image, being purposeful is the first step, the support of the dialogic classroom. He tells us that teachers need to be mindful when building this environment. In 2006, Brown says that we as educators need to be purposeful in planning a time for students to engage in paired reading. And in 2013, Moore and Tether talked about how students need to collaborate with each other, and we need to make space for that. In 2016, Furtak and her team studied how educators need to intentionally participate in professional development so they can continue to improve their ways of collecting formative assessment. Alexander explains supportive talk, where students can contribute to classroom talk without fear of embarrassment. Moore and Tether in 2013 and Philpakos and MacArthur in 2016 found that providing space for students to support each other through peer review increases their responsibility and allows them to develop as critical learners. Heritage and Heritage found in 2013 that allowing students to be contributors in conferences with teachers supported their learning. I visualize supportive talk as just that, a frame ready to be filled. Alexander explains collective talk as the teacher and student learning together. In 2006, Brown and in 2014, Dialogos agreed that this allows students to develop strategies to be lifelong learners. Brown also said that students work together to socially construct meaning. Collective talk is the first part of our picture, filling our frame as a supportive, purposeful classroom. Alexander describes reciprocal talk as when members of a classroom listen to each other. They listen to each other's ideas and consider other viewpoints. Researchers agree that teachers can use this responsive feedback, using feedback not only as a pass-fail, great job, a smiley face on their paper, but instead their feedback as a third space where students can use that feedback to further their learning, to push past their zone of proximal development. Reciprocal talk is the second piece to our picture. Alexander explains cumulative talk as building on each other's ideas. Brown explained the importance of having students work in partners so that they can make meaning together, and then come back to the class to share their meaning, making a shared meaning for the classroom community. In 2006, Ruiz Primo and Furtak found that teachers used student responses, collecting it as formative assessment to inform their practice, to build on student understanding. Cumulative talk is the final piece of the picture in my visual. Educators need to be purposeful, to use these principles of classroom talk to inform their formative assessment practices to enhance their students' learning experiences. When classroom talk is occurring in a classroom, when a teacher is mindful of providing that space for students, it allows students to be engaged in their learning. Thank you for following me along this journey and allowing me to put you in my mindset. I look forward to unpacking classroom talk further and sharing that here with you. Over the next month, I plan on digging deeper to find texts that we can share with students to help them understand dialogue in a classroom.